I thought it was luck. A husband who'd skip work parties just to have dinner with me. He used to say, "I'd rather be home than out in that mess." Naive me. I thought that was romantic. It all started when we hired Julia, the new housekeeper. Young, polite, dangerously beautiful. I was swamped with work, and she was a relief until I started noticing the little things. Scene 1. I remember the first time I felt something was off. Nothing special about that day, no dramatic event, just another regular Tuesday, smell of coffee in the kitchen, traffic noise outside competing with the morning news on TV. He came home at 6:30 as usual, smiled, kissed my forehead, and went straight to the shower. Dinner was ready, spaghetti with homemade tomato sauce, the one he said was the best in the world. And I believed him when he said stuff like that. I believed everything. But that night, when he sat down at the table, I noticed it. The scent. It wasn't his. It was something sweeter. Almost sickly sweet, like someone had brushed their hand on his shirt before he left work. I took a deep breath and swallowed the question that was crawling up my throat. Must be from the laundromat, I thought. I may be the office. It's gotta be anything but what I'm thinking. You okay, babe? He asked, chewing slowly, with that worried look that always melts me. Yeah, just tired. But I wasn't tired. I was starting to wake up. Scene 2. In the early years, he was the kind of husband all my friends envied. It wasn't just the fact that he came home early. It was how he came home. Right at 6:30, I'd hear the keys on the other side of the door, and my heart would skip, like we were still dating. He'd walk in, toss his backpack on the couch with that tired sigh of someone who's been grinding all day, and head straight to the kitchen to hug me from behind while I stirred the pot. He always kissed the back of my neck, always asked, "How was your day?" And me, I melted, every single time. He doesn't stay at work parties, my friends would ask, not buying how lucky I was. He says he'd rather be home with me, I'd answer, smiling like I'd hit the relationship jackpot. And he really did say that. Home is better. Like a mantra. Like the house we built together mattered more than any happy hour, any party, any distraction out there. And I believed it. God, how I believed it. Our routine was almost sacred. He'd shower, put on that old shirt I kept begging him to toss, but he loved because it's comfy. We'd sit down at the table, always on the same sides, him on the left, me on the right, and talk about whatever. I'd try new recipes. I'd make that spaghetti with homemade sauce he once called the best in the world. I lit tiny candles on the table, played soft music in the background, adjusted the lighting to make it all feel cozy. Our conversations were light. Predictable, safe. Boss gave Carlos hell again today, he'd say, twirling spaghetti on his fork. That boss doesn't like anyone, I'd answer, pouring more wine. Except me. I'm the favorite. Of course you are. And I'd smile, because believing that was easy. The clinking of cutlery, the sound of wine being poured, his low chuckle when I shared something dumb I saw online. It all felt like the soundtrack of stability, of safety, of we're good. I thought we were building something real, a solid marriage, the kind that lasts. But the truth is, I was so busy creating the perfect scene that I didn't notice when he started acting in a whole different play outside of it. Scene 3. The first signs came slow, like leaks in an old house. You see the stain on the ceiling but pretend it's just damp, that it'll pass, that it's no big deal. The perfume was the first one. I remember the night exactly. It was a Thursday. He walked in, kissed me, hit the shower, normal. But when he sat at the table, the smell hit me like a slap. Sweet, floral, overpowering, definitely not his, not that woody scent I knew by heart. I took a breath, trying to identify it. Was it someone in the elevator? At work? Some colleague that brushed up against him? I didn't ask. I swallowed that doubt with the wine. Then came the shirts. Every week, I sorted out the laundry. I always did that, always took care of those things. And suddenly, his shirt started coming back with a scent that wasn't ours. Stronger. Floral. That hint of lavender I hated. "Hey, babe, did you send your shirt somewhere else?" I asked. Casual, folding laundry. He barely looked up from his phone. "Nope. Why?" "Nothing. Just smelled different. Must be the new detergent at the company's laundry." I swallowed yet another excuse. And then the timing changed. He started coming home too early, 5:30, 5:40, sometimes even 5:15. And worse, the excuses didn't line up. Left early, things were chill. But just 3 days before, he'd been moaning about being swamped, back-to-back meetings, tight deadlines. How does someone drowning in work get off early? I started taking mental notes, not to be a controlling wife, but because my brain couldn't ignore the pattern anymore. The phone changed too. He used to leave it on the table. Now, he took it to the bathroom, to the bedroom, everywhere. And when it buzzed, he'd glance fast, look away, and put it face down. One night, he went to shower and left the phone on the bed. The screen lit up. Message from Julia. My heart jumped. Julia, the housekeeper. The girl I'd hired myself because I was overwhelmed and needed help around the house. I didn't read it, didn't touch it, just froze. Why was she texting him? When he came back from the shower, the phone was already in his pocket, and I was back to playing the wife who suspects nothing. But that night, lying next to him while he slept deeply, I stared at the ceiling. And for the first time, I let the word creep into my mind. Cheating. Scene 4. For days, I tried convincing myself I was overreacting, that a marriage isn't a crime scene, that I didn't have the right to doubt without proof. "He loves you," I'd whisper to myself before falling asleep. "He always comes home. He always chooses you." But there was this growing hole in my chest, and none of those words could fill it. I came up with better excuses than he did. Must be work stress. Maybe it's just a phase. Every marriage has ups and downs. Each excuse was just another shield between me and the truth. One morning, doing the dishes, I looked out the window and saw a woman holding hands with her husband. They were laughing, light. And I asked myself, when was the last time we laughed like that? That night over dinner, I tried to spark something. "We could go out this weekend. Try that restaurant you like." He barely looked up. "Too tired, babe. Let's do it another time." I smiled. But something inside me cracked for good. Scene 5. There was a day, 5 years ago. He crossed a thunderstorm to pick me up from work. I'd forgotten my umbrella. Again, I always forget. Called him, feeling kinda guilty. "Forgot it again," I said, bracing for his playful scold. "Stay there. I'm on my way." The rain was insane, the kind that makes you question if it's worth even leaving the house. But he came. When he got there, he was drenched. Shirt stuck to his skin, hair dripping, sneakers squeaking. He came into the lobby holding his jacket over his head, laughing, like it was an adventure, not a hassle. "You're crazy," I said, trying not to cry and laugh at the same time. "And you're forgetful?" he replied, pulling me by the hand. "Let's go, before it gets worse." In the car, he blasted the heater, and the sound of rain on the roof became our soundtrack. I looked at him, water running down his face, and felt something so intense it almost hurt. "You didn't have to come," I said, quiet, almost shy. He looked at me with that crooked smile that always melted me. "Home is where you go back to by instinct, and you're my home." I held his hand, squeezed it tight, like that moment was proof we'd always be okay. That night, back home, I dried his clothes, made hot chocolate, and we cuddled on the couch watching a terrible movie we didn't even pay attention to. He hugged me from behind, chin resting on my head, and whispered, "I'll always come for you, no matter the rain, no matter what." And I believed him. I locked that memory away like a rare gem. Every time I doubted him, every time life felt heavy, I'd go back to that day, that rain, that smile dripping, those words that felt like forever. But now, when I think of that day, the memory stings differently. Because I realized memories lie too. They only show you what you want to remember. They hide the cracks, Ignore the contradictions. Repaint everything with the colors you choose. Was he being honest that day? Or was he already lying? And I was just too good at believing. I don't know anymore. And maybe that's the cruelest part of betrayal. It doesn't just wreck the present. It poisons the past, takes every cherished moment and casts a shadow over it. That rain, that hug, those promises, now all just questions. Did he really love me? Or was I always just convenient? I opened the drawer with our old photos. There's one from that day. We took it in the mirror, soaked, laughing. My face pressed to his, both of us so happy it hurts to look. I run my finger over the photo, slowly, like I could touch that version of me who didn't know what was coming. I'm sorry, I whisper to her, that girl who believed in promises made under the rain. I'm sorry I didn't protect you better. I close the drawer, take a deep breath, and let the pain take up the space he used to occupy. Because maybe the real mistake wasn't believing in love, it was believing he'd never change. Scene 6. Took me 2 days to get the guts. 2 days of looking at him, pretending everything was fine, while my brain screamed. 2 days of serving dinner, smiling at the right times, answering, I'm fine, when he asked if I was acting weird, but I wasn't fine. I was tired of doubting, tired of playing detective, tired of being the crazy wife seeing things where there's nothing. So I decided, if he wasn't going to give me the truth, I'd get it myself. I started Googling, how to know if you're being cheated on, homemade loyalty test, hidden cameras for home. Each search felt like admitting defeat, a silent confession that I didn't trust anymore. And that hurt, because you shouldn't have to spy on someone you love. You should just trust. But trust without proof is blind faith. And I'd believed enough already. I bought 3 tiny cameras, disguised as phone chargers or clocks. When they arrived, I hid them in the back of the closet, like evidence of a crime I hadn't committed yet. On Wednesday, I told him, Babe, I've got a work trip. 2 days, back Friday morning. He was on the couch, watching something on his phone, didn't even look up. Oh yeah? Where to? Curitiba, client meeting. It'll go great. Good luck. He smiled, a light smile, almost relieved. And that smile was the final confirmation. He was happy I was leaving. Thursday morning, I faked packing, clothes, toiletries, charger, all tidy. But before leaving, I set up the cameras. One behind the lamp in the living room, another on a shelf in the hallway, and the third in the guest room, where Julia kept her stuff. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped one. My heart pounded so loud I thought he'd hear from the bedroom, but he didn't. He was in the shower, singing, like nothing was wrong. I finished setting everything up, connected them to the app, tested them. 3 angles, clear picture, crisp audio, ready, took a breath, held back tears, and went to say goodbye. He was getting dressed, hair wet, smelling like soap and that familiar cologne. You leaving already? Yeah, early flight. He came over and kissed me. A quick kiss, mechanical, the kind you give out of habit. Safe trip, babe. Take care of the house for me. I always do, he said, smiling again. And that moment almost broke me. I nearly shut everything down, almost threw the cameras away, almost convinced myself I was crazy, that I was creating a problem that didn't exist. But then I remembered the perfume, the fabric softener, the odd timings, the deleted messages, her name on his screen, and I left. Checked into a hotel 10 minutes from home. Plain room, smelled like bleach. Peeling wallpaper. Sat on the bed, opened the app, and waited. The screen showed an empty living room, empty hallway, empty guest room, all normal. But I knew that would change, because he didn't know I was watching. And liars only lie when they think no one's looking. I checked the clock. 9:37 a.m. He worked until 5. Or so he said. I had the whole day to wait. And waiting, I learned that day, is the worst kind of torture. Because while you wait, there's still hope. And hope, right before it dies, Hurts more than any truth. Scene 7. At 5:05 p.m., my phone lit up. Motion detected. Camera 1. My heart stopped. I opened the app. The image loaded slowly, like the universe was giving me one last chance to back out. But I didn't. I hit play. And there he was, walking in, smiling, tossing his keys on the counter like always. He grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge, drank straight from it. Normal. Everything looked painfully normal. For a second, I nearly shut it down, almost convinced myself I was insane, that I'd made it all up, that none of this was gonna happen. But then I heard it. The water. The sound of the shower turning on. In the guest bathroom, my stomach flipped. I jumped off the bed so fast I nearly fell. Switched to the hallway camera. The bathroom door was ajar. Steam pouring out, water hitting tile. And then, a silhouette. Julia. She walked past the camera, just in a towel, wet hair dripping on the floor. She walked like she owned the place. I paused the video, breathed, counted to 3, pressed play. He appeared behind her, shirtless, relaxed, put his hand on her waist, pulled her close, and they kissed. Not a quick kiss, not an accident. Slow, deliberate, intimate, the kind of kiss you give someone you know. Someone you've kissed 1,000 times, someone whose taste you've memorized. I didn't cry. I couldn't. The shock numbed everything. I could see, but not process, hear, but not understand. They moved to the kitchen. She opened the fridge, my fridge, grabbed juice, my juice. He leaned on the counter, laughed at something she said. They looked at ease. This wasn't a first. I paused the video on his laughing face. Stared at that familiar face, and for the first time, I didn't recognize it. Who was this man? I called him. My voice came out steady, calm, like I was just calling to say traffic was bad. Hey, babe. Hey, he replied, and I heard the smile in his voice. Everything okay? Yeah, just letting you know I'll be back early tomorrow. Oh, good. Can't wait to see you. See you tomorrow. Love you. Love you too. Hung up. And that's when everything inside me shattered. Scene 9. I came back home the next morning, just like I'd said. 8 o'clock, sharp. Always been that way. I'd rehearsed the confrontation all night, memorized every word, every accusation, every possible excuse he might throw at me. I pictured the whole scene, me walking in, him pretending everything was normal, and me throwing the truth at his face like cold water. But when I opened the door, nothing was how I expected. The house was empty. Not like went out to get bread empty. More like something really bad happened here. Empty. Lights were on. The TV was playing that 24/7 news channel. The living room fan spun slowly, making that rhythmic noise that used to calm me. But he wasn't there, and neither was she. Babe? I called out, more out of habit than actual hope. Silence. I walked through the house slowly, heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. Living room, kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, everything in place. The furniture, the pillows I embroidered myself, the photos on the wall telling a story that didn't exist anymore. No sign of him. Then I saw it. The office door, cracked open. Light still on inside. I pushed it slowly, with that heavy feeling in my gut that something awful was waiting on the other side. And it was. The safe, wide open, like a steel mouth laughing at me. I ran to it, already knowing what I'd find, but I still had to look. I needed to confirm. Empty, completely empty. The emergency money, my grandma's jewelry, important documents, all gone. Like someone had vacuumed every last valuable piece out of that house. My legs gave out. I sat on the floor, rested my head against the cabinet, trying to breathe. But the air just wouldn't come. Then I saw the note. On the desk, a white sheet, folded in half, written in neat, rounded handwriting I didn't recognize. I grabbed it with shaking hands, unfolded it, and read. He promised to run away with me, said he'd leave everything behind. Guess we tricked the wrong person? I read it once, twice, 3 times. Like reading it again would change what it meant. But it didn't. She ran away. With the money. With the jewelry. Alone. He wasn't with her. He'd been played. And suddenly, everything made a cruel, twisted kind of sense. Julia never wanted him. Julia wanted what he had. And she used the affair as a tool, a way in, a key to a safe she knew he'd open. And him, he fell for it, like an idiot. And me, I was the bigger fool, the one who never suspected her. I started laughing, not because it was funny, but because the irony was too big to fit inside me. Laughing was the only thing I could do without completely falling apart. He cheated on me. She betrayed him. And I'd been betrayed twice. By him, and by my own naivety. The laughter turned to crying. The crying turned to sobs. The sobs to silence. And in that silence, sitting on the cold office floor, with the crumpled note in my hand and the empty safe staring back at me, I realized something. The shame I felt wasn't just from being cheated on. It was from being fooled twice in the same story. By him, who swore he loved me. And by her, who I brought into my home. I picked up my phone and called the police. I need to report a robbery. The dispatcher's voice was robotic, distant, routine. Full name? I gave my name, my address, answered everything like a machine. Any idea who might have done it? Yeah, a woman named Julia. I don't know her last name. She worked here. And where is she now? Gone, with everything. Got it? We'll send a unit. I hung up and stayed there, sitting, alone, with the echo of my own words bouncing off the walls, gone, with everything, including the version of me that still believed in happy endings. Scene 10. The next 3 days felt like limbo. I didn't leave the house, didn't pick up calls, didn't open the door. I just existed. Like a ghost drifting from room to room, trying to figure out how everything crumbled so fast. Sometimes, the anger boiled over. I'd grab his favorite plates and feel like smashing them all against the wall. Wanted to break things, to scream, to make noise. But then I'd remember, it wouldn't change a thing. He wasn't coming back to apologize. Julia wasn't bringing back the money. And me? I'd still be here, alone, surrounded by shards. So I put the plates back, carefully, one by one, like I was putting pieces of myself back on the shelf. I sat on the living room floor, phone in hand, and watched the footage again. Not out of self-torture, but because I needed to understand. When did it start? How long had they been doing this? I rewound 3 months of dinners, conversations. Those nights he came home early because he preferred home. And then I saw it. All those times he said, "I love you," while staring at his phone. All the smiles directed at the plate, not me. All the times he was physically there, but emotionally elsewhere. I'd confused presence with love. I pulled out an old notebook from the drawer, the one I used for grocery lists and random notes. Opened to a blank page and started writing, what was love, what was habit, what was a lie? I split the page into 3 columns and started filling them in. Love, the rain, the day he picked me up drenched, the early promises, habit, silent dinners, the forehead kiss. The routine I turned into a shrine. Lie, the perfume, the fabric softener, the deleted messages, the sketchy schedules, the pen scratched across the paper like it was cutting through me. The more I wrote, the clearer it became. I'd created a version of him in my head. And I fell in love with that version. Not the real man, but the character I wrote myself. And when reality didn't match the script, I just ignored it. I closed the notebook and wrote on the last page, in bold letters, I won't shrink myself to fit into anyone's lie. I read it out loud, 3 times, like a vow, got up off the floor, called the bank and froze all accounts, called the lawyer and set up a meeting. Backed up the videos to 3 places, phone, computer, cloud. Every move I made was about protection. so he couldn't come back and ruin what was left of me. Because I realized something big. He didn't deserve my revenge. He didn't deserve my anger. Didn't even deserve my forgiveness. He just didn't deserve space in my life anymore. And that was the hardest part. Because hate is easier than indifference. Hate still ties you to someone, but indifference, that's freedom. Scene 11. On the fourth day, I woke up with this strange clarity. Not peace, not yet, but something close to resolve. I got up, showered, put on clean clothes, and went to the door. Looked at the old lock and realized he still had a key. He could still come in any time. And that wasn't okay. I called a locksmith. I need the lock changed, today. I can be there in 2 hours. Perfect. While I waited, I started packing up his things. Clothes, books. That stupid mug that said "World's Best Husband" I gave him 2 years ago. I looked at the mug and felt this strong urge to smash it. But I didn't. I put it in the box, with all his stuff, not out of kindness, but because I didn't want a single thing of his contaminating my home. When the locksmith arrived, I watched every step. The old key being pulled, the new one installed. Shiny metal, clean, no memory. All set. Only you have access now. Thank you. I shut the door, locked it with the new key, and for the first time in days, I felt relieved. Sat on the couch and picked up my phone. 47 unread messages, mostly from him. I'm sorry. Please let me explain. She fooled me too. She stole everything. The police are on it. I love you. Always have. I read them. Once, then deleted them. Not because I forgave him, but because I didn't need to carry that weight anymore. I typed a short, direct message. No emotion. Change the locks. Your stuff's in a box in the garage. Pick it up whenever. Just let me know. I don't want to see you. Sent it. Reply came in seconds. Please don't do this. Can we talk? I blocked the number. Not out of anger, but because my decision was made. There's a kind of revenge that's loud, that screams, that tears things apart. But there's another kind. The silent one. The one that just walks away, closes the door, and doesn't look back. I chose the second one. Not because he deserved my dignity, but because I did. I opened the notebook again and wrote, "Today I chose me." And for the first time in a long while, I smiled. It wasn't happiness. Not yet. But it was the beginning of something close. It felt like I was going to make it. And more than that, I was going to rebuild myself. Not for him. Not to prove anything to anyone. But for me. Because I deserved a life where I didn't have to suspect. Where I didn't have to play detective. Where love was light, not a prison. And if that meant being alone for a while, that was fine. Because chosen solitude is freedom. And betrayal disguised as company is a cage. Scene 12. 3 days later, the doorbell rang. I was in the kitchen making coffee. The strong kind you make when sleep doesn't come, but you still gotta function. Looked through the peephole. There he was, skinnier. Dark circles under his eyes. Beard growing in patches. Wrinkled clothes like he hadn't changed in days. He looked like a ghost of himself. And for a second, just a second, I felt pity. But then I remembered. The kiss in the kitchen. The wet towel on the floor. The note that said, "Guess we tricked the wrong person." And the pity vanished. I opened the door, but not all the way. Left the security chain on, a tiny physical barrier that said everything. You're not welcome anymore. Hi, he said, voice hoarse, like he'd been crying or yelling. Maybe both. Hi. Silence. He looked at me like he expected something. A meltdown, a fight, a cry. Something to make it easier. But I just stood there, waiting. I need to talk to you, he said, rubbing the back of his neck, nervous. About everything. The police already called. I know. Fake name, fake ID, it was all a con. I know it all. He looked surprised. Like he didn't think I'd already be fully informed. So you know that? That I was tricked too. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the irony was too thick to ignore. You think that changes anything? Yes, I didn't know who she really was. She manipulated me, used me, and you cheated on me. The words came out firm, no shaking, no hesitation. He lowered his head. I know I messed up, but please, let me explain. Let me fix this. Fix? I repeated, feeling the anger rise slowly. You think this can be fixed? You cheated on me in my own house, with a woman I hired, while I was out working to keep everything going. I know, and I'll carry that guilt forever. But I love you. I always have. No, you don't love me. I looked straight into his eyes. You love the version of me who believed you, who ignored the signs, who let you do whatever you wanted without questioning it. He tried to speak, but I raised my hand. I'm not done. I took a deep breath. You didn't just cheat on me physically. You cheated emotionally. Every time you came home pretending everything was fine, every time you said I love you while deleting her messages, every time you made me feel crazy for doubting. He shut his eyes, and for the first time, I saw tears running down his face. I'm sorry. Really? If I could go back. But you can't. And I'm not waiting around for you to be sorry enough for me to take you back. So that's it. We end like this. We ended the day you chose her. I'm just making it official. The silence between us was heavy, thick with everything that could no longer be said. Your stuff's in the garage, I said, pointing. You can take it, but don't come back. He nodded, slowly, like he finally got it, that there was no turning back. I'll love you forever. You know that, right? No, you'll remember me forever. That's different. I closed the door, locked it, and leaned against it, waiting to feel something. Sadness, regret, emptiness. But what I felt was relief. For the first time in weeks, I took a deep breath without the weight of hidden truths. Scene 13. Next morning, the house felt different, not physically, but the energy had shifted. Like the air could finally flow without crashing into anything. I went to the living room window and opened it. All the way, let the wind in, cold, strong, carrying the scent of rain that hadn't fallen yet. I looked outside. People walking, cars driving by. Life kept going. And so would I. Went to the bathroom cabinet and grabbed that lavender fabric softener I hated, the one that wasn't mine. Threw it in the trash, along with the towels that still smelled like him. Changed the sheets, washed his favorite dishes and tucked them in the back of the cupboard. Took the wedding photo off the wall, not because I wanted to erase him, but because I didn't want to keep looking at that version of me who believed in promises that didn't last. I went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and for the first time in weeks, I saw myself. Dark circles, messy hair, tired face, but alive, whole, still standing. I grabbed the scissors, and I cut. Didn't go to a salon, didn't ask for advice, didn't plan it. I just cut. Strands falling into the sink one by one, like every one of them was a weight I was finally letting go of. It came out uneven, choppy, far from perfect, but it was mine. Grabbed my phone, scrolled through contacts, stopped on his name. I hesitated. For a moment, I almost backed out, almost kept his number saved, like a fire exit in case I ever changed my mind. But then I remembered everything. The cheating, the lying, the note, the way he looked at me that last day, like I was the villain for not forgiving, and I deleted it, deleted his number, cleared the chats, archived the photos, then shoved the phone into the back of the drawer, heavy, like a book you finished and never want to read again. Sat on the couch, looked at the empty house, and for the first time, the silence didn't hurt. It wasn't peace yet. Not fully, but it was a start. I grabbed the notebook where I'd written, "I won't shrink myself to fit into anyone's lie," and wrote underneath, "Today I chose me. and I'll keep choosing me. Closed the notebook, took a deep breath, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Lightness, not the kind that comes from forgetting, but the kind that comes from finally letting go. Opened my laptop, started looking for a new apartment, somewhere he'd never been, where no memory could follow me. Not because I was running away, but because I was choosing a real new start. Looked out the window again. The wind still blowing strong, swaying the curtains. And for the first time in months, I smiled. Not happiness, not yet, but hope. Hope that I'd survive, that I'd rebuild. That one day, when someone asked about this story, I'd be able to tell it without shame, because the shame was never mine, never was. I did the best I could with what I knew. I loved, I trusted, I built, and if he chose to destroy it, that's on him, not on me. I closed the laptop, stood up, and went to take a shower. And when the hot water hit my body, I cried. But this time, it wasn't pain, it was relief. Because finally, I was free. Ending. Not every fresh start is a grand gesture. Some are just small acts. An open window, a haircut, a deleted name. I don't know if I'll love again. Don't know if I'll ever trust again. Don't know if I'll forget. But I do know this. I won't betray myself again. And maybe that's the greatest kind of love I can offer, the kind no one can steal.